Welcome to NRI Money podcast. Today we have an external speaker who is an expert on NRI taxation. Why we have thought about bringing an external speaker is simply because uh, we have NRIs who wants to invest in India, who are invested in India, who have properties in India, but the one thing which they are always concerned about is the taxation part of that. How should they be looking at taxation? Whether they should be filing their taxation in India? What are the circumstances? And for that, we have Bharat Sarawagee with us. So just to tell you a little bit about Bharat. Bharat is a chartered accountant with 20 years experience. His speciality is NRI taxation. Welcome, Bharat. Welcome to the podcast, and let's start with the questions actually. Then,
Hello,
right?
Ritesh.
Hi. So, Bharat, I am also an NRI. So I'll be asking it not as a third person. Let's say if I am an NRI and I'm sitting in front of you, I'll be asking the questions like an NRI. I'm coming to few questions on property because even though people don't have investments in India in financial assets, but they certainly most of them certainly have some physical assets in India. Okay, so is there any restriction on type of property NRI or OCI can buy or invest in India?
Yeah, uh, you see, NRI and OCI are not allowed to buy any agricultural land in India, any plantation
Okay.
land. They can buy a
Okay.
normal residential house or a plot, commercial plot, office. They can buy, but there are certain restrictions for this particular thing. But in case when you were a resident and you had bought all or agricultural land or a plantation, you may continue to hold it, but
Okay.
you cannot buy a fresh agricultural land or a plantation.
So, Bharat, to put it simply, if anybody wants to invest, any NRI want to invest in India, okay, in physical assets, basically we are talking about real estate, not agriculture, but a normal real estate house or dwelling, then it is better to first take advice from a tax expert and then start doing that thing. Is that the better way of doing that thing?
No, not really, not really. The process is not very complex. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's a very simple process. When you are buying a property in India, there's one obligation which many people are not aware, that the buyer has to compulsory deduct 1% TDS on the sale consideration. So if
Okay.
your property value is above 50 lakhs, you have to compulsory deduct 1% on the sale consideration, and
Okay.
you have to
Got it.
and you have to deposit that within 30 days from the date of payment.
That's what I'm saying, Bharat. That
Yeah,
if you were to do any physical investments in India, it is always better to have some tax expert on your side from the
yeah,
start till end. Okay, because physical assets means you're investing a lot of money, right?
right,
Then it is
right,
always better to have somebody on your side. Got it.
right.
Got it.
And
So
you see, there are a lot of
that
other things also. Other things need to be considered. Like you should do a proper, like, what if you are buying an apartment? Is your developer is a good developer, have a reputation? Whether your developer
yes.
is not, whether there may be situation that your developer may be into an IBC, insolvency court also, and you are not aware.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there
So
have been
yeah, got it.
like in the past, there have a lot of been situation where good developers have busted, and they were not able to deliver the flat. So that was a big
Oh,
loss for
okay.
a lot of residents, a lot of investors. Then
Okay.
uh, there are a lot of other things also which we guide, as a we handhold, like these are the few things, a checklist you should follow when you buy a property.
Got it. So, okay, my next question is, I'm planning to buy property in India. What are my obligations related to taxes on property purchase, rental income, and capital gains? I think taxes on property purchase you have already mentioned. What about the rental income and capital gains?
So yeah, rental income, like the when you give it on rent, so the rent which you get, you have to pay taxes on that.
Okay,
So the tenant will be giving this rent into your depositing that rent into your NRO account only.
okay,
And you see, there's a peculiarity with the rental income, that you get a 30% deduction for the rent income you get. So you pay only taxes for your 70%, and which also becomes part of your slab. So up to
okay,
2.5 lakhs, there is no tax also.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
And for
And now
capital
what
gain,
about the capital gains? Yeah.
yeah, so you bought a property and there's a provision that if you hold this property for more than 2 years, then it becomes a long-term
Hmm.
property, long-term capital gain.
Okay.
And less than 2 years, it becomes a short-term. So
Okay.
if you're holding for more than 2 years, if you sell the property, if there is a gain, you pay taxes of only 20% on that gain. And that is also subject to this, you get a benefit of capital index, inflation index.
Indexation benefit,
Yeah,
what we call
CLI
it, the
benefit.
indexation benefit.
Yeah, indexation benefit. But in case of short-term capital gain, you straight away pay the tax as per the slab rate, which is applicable to you.
Okay. Okay. Uh, my next question is it necessary for me to travel to India or be physically present at the time of registering a property, either while buying or selling a property in India?
No, it is not compulsory for you to. You can easily make a power of attorney sitting at US or Singapore or anywhere.
Okay.
You can give this power of attorney to any of your friend, any of your relative, to a lawyer, and he can do this transaction on your behalf. He can sign on your behalf. But what we
Okay.
advise that you should be careful when you are giving a power of attorney. The power of attorney should be specific power of attorney for that particular transaction, and it should have a validity period also. This is
Okay.
what we advise.
And if somebody says, Bharat, can you draft a power of attorney on our behalf? Can you help us? Do you
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
we
your
can do that.
company you can do that
We've been
thing?
doing this. We have been doing
Oh,
this for
you've
many
been doing
years.
that thing for your clients. Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Great. Great.
yes.
So my next question is, my parents have property in India, and now we are worried how to take care or sell the property after their death. Can you guide us with some practical tips?
You see, most of the NRIs are having parental property. The parents are staying in India or they have some
Yes.
ancestral property. And they're worried what will happen to those property when they come, because nobody has time to come, go and take out and
Yes.
look at the legal. There are a lot of legal hassles also. So a first most important thing is that there should be a particular will through which your parents can transfer this property to you. You
Okay.
should always insist your parents to make a will, because when there is a
Okay.
will, it is easy for the property to get transferred in your name after their death. Otherwise, you
Okay.
have to run from pillar to pillar and get a succession certificate.
So
That is one
Bharat, again, my question is that I'm pretty sure you are dealing with NRIs. So are you seeing this thing enough in your clients that they are making will, or it has become the process is much easier? So
yes,
that is why you are suggesting all this thing.
yes. You see, the process is not. It is there is no easiness or anything like that. So there is no change at all. So you can draft a will, and there are
Okay.
certain checklists, certain points you have to follow while drafting, or ask your parents to draft a will. And if you have an option to register that will also. If you register that will, then the chances of challenging that will get reduced.
Okay. Got it. Got it. So my last question is, I'm sure people will be having so many questions, but whatever I could think of, I'm putting in front of you. So I want to sell my property in India. What should I be aware of before selling?
You see, I'll give you one shock that whenever an NRI or OCI sells a property in India, there is a withholding tax. And this
Okay.
withholding tax, if your property value is above 1 crore, the withholding tax
Hmm.
is 23.9 something.
Oh,
And
okay.
that is on the sale consideration, not on your profit or loss. So
Wow.
I'll give you one example. Suppose you are selling a property of 2 crore rupees,
Hmm.
and just 3 years back you bought it for uh, 1.90 crores.
Okay.
So you are
Okay.
making a gain of just 10 lakh rupees
Yes.
in the absolute terms. But if you
Yes.
look at the cost inflation part, you are making a loss.
Yes. Okay. Got it. Got
Clear?
it. Yeah.
But since you are selling, so the buyer has a compulsory obligation. If the buyer is a resident or a non-resident, doesn't matter. He has a compulsory obligation to deduct 20% tax on this 2 crore value, and there will be surcharge and cess.
Okay.
So ultimately, you are getting only 1 crore 60 lakhs in your bank.
Okay. Okay.
So this come as a shock for most of my client. Like most of my clients reach out to me because of this issue only, and most of the new clients reach out to me.
Wow.
You see
Okay.
this, I'm suddenly getting this shock. Now my buyer is telling me that he'll be deducting this withholding tax, but I am not making any profit in this particular property. But you cannot stop this. This is the government of India direction under section 195 that the buyer has to compulsory deduct this withholding tax. So there are two ways to deal with this. One is, okay, let him deduct that withholding tax. You file your income tax return and you claim that entire TDS as your refund after
Okay.
paying the necessary taxes.
Yes.
So in our last example, we made a profit of 10 lakh rupees in the absolute
Hmm.
term. So assuming that 2 lakhs is the tax amount, but the
Yes.
TDS
Got
is
it.
withholding tax is already 40 lakhs. So now you can
Yes.
claim a refund of 38 lakh rupees. And the
Okay.
government will give you 38 lakh rupees if you file the return properly. There is a second option also, which many people are not aware. There's something called lower deduction certificate. So
First, you have to apply for the department. You should
yeah,
apply to the
so
department
there's
before
a form
selling.
13. There's a form 13
Yeah.
lower deduction. You go to the website and you apply a lower deduction certificate. Give all the information about that you are just making a 10 lakh rupees gain. So
Yes.
the income tax department, through proper licensing, they allow you with a lower deduction of just 2% or a 1%.
Yes.
So the
And
entire cash
I
flow
have
change.
got, yes.
Yeah.
And
So
most people are not aware about both the things. You're
more
absolutely
people are
right about
more
it.
people are aware. People think this 40 lakhs is the tax.
Yeah.
So they don't file the
Absolutely.
return also, and they just simply move out. They transfer repatriate the fund 1 crore 60 lakhs, and they don't do anything. And this 40 lakhs is gone.
Very, very important for people to understand that thing.
Yeah,
So when
yes.
we were looking at selling our property in India, this is exactly how I was told that you need to do these things in advance. I will apply for a certificate on your behalf. This certificate is eligible for the entire one financial year. If you are
Yes.
selling in the next financial year, you have to apply for the certificate
Again.
again.
Again, and
Okay,
this certificate is a 10 specific, is a buyer specific. You cannot
got
have,
it.
yeah.
Government is not going after you. Government is saying we just want proper tax collection. We have our
Right.
data. People just move out after all these things. We just want to collect our
It's
taxes.
a
And
preventive
if you
tax.
have paid extra taxes,
Yeah.
then just pay us back. That's it. They'll
Right.
pay us back. So
And they pay you with
there's no
interest.
erroneous.
Yeah.
Correct. Oh, they pay with interest. That's why
Yeah.
we need a proper tax advice, which most NRIs are not having today. I completely agree. Great. It's been such a fruitful discussion, Bharat. uh, you know, we will put your website address on our this podcast. And if you could tell us more about the website and where they can reach you.
My website is bdsadvisories.com. They can go
Hmm.
through that website and they can directly reach me over WhatsApp also. My phone number is +91 98300 22057.